All right, here we go. Just share my screen if I can find it. This is not.
Just so you know, I have to leave at 9:45. I have hopefully my final doctor's appointment today. But then 2 weeks, he wants me to just come back to be safe. But this could be my last doctor's appointment other than the final one.
I love it. This is a good time for you to take, oh, you know what? Let's escape this. There we go. It's a good time to take it when you're in a position where you could focus on education. All right, let's try this again. Share screen. Put that person in. All right, does everybody see my screen that says session 20, plan your future? I see shaking heads. Very cool. All right. Just getting myself situated so that I could see all of your beautiful faces and get everything. All right. So here we are. We are literally in session 20. I had asked before I hit the record button, what did you learn, right? So let's start with, before we even do what did you learn, what challenges did you face?
Picking up the phone.
Picking up the phone. So day 1 versus day 20, where are you at with that?
A lot more comfortable.
Very cool. Anybody else?
You gave me more options on how to do it. So it wasn't just pick up the phone, it was like, how do you do this? And how do you keep that lead? So thank you.
Yeah. And honestly, with the do not call list, we do have to get more diversified, right? It's not always just pick up the phone, because if we're calling a neighborhood that a buyer's interested in, if people are on the do not call list or we don't have their phone numbers, you have to find other ways. Did everyone find an accountability partner? Okay, for those shaking their head, no, it's not too late. What would it look like if you had an accountability partner? And if you have a productivity coach, yes, they are technically part of your accountability. And yet, who are the 5 to 7 people in the market center that you could go to and debrief, talk about your struggles, really have the conversation, and that will lift you up? It's really important that you have that group. It makes your business a lot more fun. This is a very lonely business if you do it on your own, because we can work from home. We don't have to go to the office. We lead generate. So who are your people that are going to keep you from being alone in the business? So today, it's the final day. We're going to talk about the money piece. We're going to do a little bit of reflection. We're going to talk about the success system. And we're going to design what your future looks like, because it ultimately is up to you. So set your sights on a big future. When you started this journey, we asked you, what are your goals? What are your money goals? Has that changed? Knowing you know what today. I see a couple of shaking heads. Yes, elaborate.
I feel a lot more comfortable and confident, because obviously when you first get into this business, there's so much to learn. But I feel like I'm learning. Obviously I don't know as much as you, but I feel I'm way further than I am when I started.
Absolutely. And let's always remember, everybody was you. And some of those everybody's that are you are millionaires in their business. And one of the missions of KW is to create 100,000 millionaire real estate agents by the end of 2025. And I would just ask, who on the screen is going to be one of those millionaire real estate agents, right?
Can you say that again?
One of our goals as a company is to have 100,000 millionaire real estate agents. They net $1 million. And as much as that's not everybody's goal, because I do remember being on one of these ignites and we talked about rich isn't the same for everybody. What rich means to you, it's not the same thing for me. So when we look at whether you desire to be one of those 100,000 millionaires, or you desire to have what you define as rich, let's just drive our goals to get there. So how you think matters, how you think in the beginning really matters, right? What do you think they mean by that? How you think in the beginning really matters. What's the difference between how you think and how you think at the beginning of something?
Bill Weidecker just brought this up in the morning mindset, and basically the gist of it was, if you go into things with a positive attitude, you're way more likely to have a positive outcome. So your mindset basically determines the outcome before you even start.
Absolutely. And there, I mean, it's the fearful and fearless. Like, you're going to be tired of hearing me say that. And when you start something, if you start fearful, are you limiting, right? If you're jumping in and saying, I'm going to take action, and yes, I'm going to hit bumps and I might make mistakes, and that's okay, right? It's like we know to get to a couple of yeses, you need 100 no's. So it's not, oh, woe is me, I got told no 10 times today. It's yay, I got 10 no's today. I'm not much closer to a yes, right? It's just a switch of the mindset. So based on where you were and where you are, let's just do a little bit of sharing. What has changed in mindset?
I would say my daily goals. In my mind, I was thinking I could just post to social media and people would contact me through that. So I guess my daily success system would be different.
Okay. What else? I love that every day my activities are going to be stronger and stronger. Absolutely. What else? Somebody else, give me something.
I've just figured out that I need to be consistent all the time. Just keep at it and do a mix of social, call-in, a little bit of it, a little bit of everything, you know, just to mix up the pot, so to speak.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
100%. So when you first start this business, I don't know if I know I haven't said it on any of these ignites. When you first start this business, it's a lot of you going out, getting the business, you having the conversations, you, right? 2 to 3 years down the road, it's going to look a lot different, because now you've built a relationship, you've built a reputation, you've built a business, and now referrals are coming to you even stronger. So yes, at the beginning, you're going to spend a lot of time in that lead generation, and you should never stop. However, 2 to 3 years down the road, your referral business is going to support your business so much more than it is today, because you built your relationships and your reputation. All right. So we talked about using affirmations. We talked about removing limiting thoughts. We talked about setting big goals. We talked about sharing with your accountability partner. We talked about calling people is important, right? Who can give me an example of what you've done differently mindset wise? It may be a daily task. It may be something that I mentioned, but what have you been taking action on?
I would say skip practice and role play
Okay.
time. I have an accountability coach, and we I've been meeting like for 15 minutes twice a week. And that's been super helpful for me, especially because he has been in the industry a lot longer than I have. And I have so many questions, and being able to role play has been so helpful because most of my questions are answered through that.
Absolutely. Who else? Remember, how you participate in here is how you participate everywhere. So the more you engage, the more energy you're going to build when you go out there to make the phone calls and pick up the phone and have the conversation and send the text messages. So what else have you been doing, Samantha?
I ended up getting involved in an REI local group, a local event. So my productivity coach and I are actually going to go down there and participate together. It's really cool because it's not like your generic office setting. It's pretty much like you meet investors, you have a couple beers, and you talk real estate. So it's more my scene. It's more comfortable, laid back, relaxed. I also started involving myself in other groups, such as like wedding venues. I'm reaching out. So my main thing is like, I'm starting to put my hands out there and reach out to try to get people to acknowledge that, what I'm doing. And then I also spoke with a couple of my buyers that I've closed a couple deals with. And I asked, hey, can you please leave a review on my landing page? And they did that. So far, I mean, I've had 2 5-star reviews, and the things that they said were just so nice. Like I just read one just now as I was on here, and I was like, oh my God, like it's so rewarding to see those kind of memories, and like just the kind words, it builds you up.
Yeah, because you literally, the limiting beliefs we tell ourselves, I mean, we are our own worst nightmare when it comes to how we talk to ourselves. So hearing that from other people is so important. I love
We're
it.
our worst critics.
Oh yeah, all day long. I mean, all of us. There's not all of us.
Oh, and then I actually ended up, I'm a part of these farming pages. I have chickens, so, but I'm part of these farming pages. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go out on a whim. And I made a post and said like, hey, I'm a local realtor. If any of my farming friends would like to extend their farm and purchase land, or if you're getting ready to retire or such, please reach out to me. I want to be your local guide for any information or questions that you have. I did this yesterday. I already have 5 messages in my inbox, and I'm talking to someone from Wisconsin right now who's trying to move up in the next 2 years.
I love it. And remember, there's referral opportunity in Wisconsin, right? Like, how awesome is it to give a name to a realtor and somebody in Wisconsin, and they sell that property down there and then move up here, right? So you get both sides of it. What I heard you say is you're doing a demographic farm, right? We have geographic farms and then we have demographic farms. That's a demographic farm, and I would take full advantage of it.
I don't even know like the logistics behind farming per se. I heard someone in the office meeting yesterday say geographic farming, and I didn't know how to go about that, because I'd love to do something like that. I just don't know how.
Yep. If we have time, we'll dive into that a lot deeper on this.
Okay.
Like if we have an extra 10, 15 minutes, and if not, schedule a one-on-one with me and we'll have a conversation around how to do that. I love demographic farming and I love geographic farming. It's a great opportunity to grow your network hugely. All right. So we have our Y4C2Ts, right? Win-win or no deal, integrity, do the right thing. Customers always come first, commitment in all things, communication, seek first to understand, creativity, ideas before results, teamwork together, everyone achieves more. Trust starts with honesty, equity, opportunities for all, success results through people. How are you running your business utilizing the Y4C2Ts? And second question is, how are the Y4C2Ts making it easier for you to have conversations? Anybody?
Sorry, my dogs are kind of going crazy, but I would say for me the biggest one is commitment in all things, because once I have achieved that, most of the other things are coming a little bit easier because I am committing and time blocking for all the other stuff.
Commitment, I love that. Anyone else have one that resonates? I mean, I love win-win or no deal.
I love
love-
communication, seek first to understand. Somebody said,
Absolutely.
don't ask questions to speak, ask questions to understand. So the more you can get the position that they're coming from, the way better you are equipped to help them.
100%, I agree. All right, session 4, we talked about our value proposition. If you haven't looked at it in a while, go back and look at it. Should it look a little bit different? Has anything changed? Have I been sharing it with my contacts, right? Your value proposition is what's going to set you apart from everyone else. It's your mission, your vision, your dreams, your desire in this business. Then we had revisit your big life, right? Your vision, your future, your big life. Has anything changed? Has being in these classes and hearing these stories and hearing the stories in the market centers, has your goals and dreams gotten bigger? Do you envision a bigger life? Anybody? Just shake of a head. You don't even have to come off mute. Has things changed where your big life looks different? Absolutely. If it doesn't, schedule a one-on-one with your productivity coach. So one thing all high achievers have in common is they are working for a big why. The big why is about having a purpose, a mission, or a need that in turn gives you focus, right? So one of my favorite things to do is in December, I like to give 10 $100 bills out just randomly to people, right? So delivering those $100 bills, and I'm even more adamant about doing it because there was one time where I had given a Little Caesars. There was this woman, this girl, she's woman young, and she was just such a hard worker and she hustled. And whenever I went in to get Little Caesars pizza, she was always there with a smile. And one day I just went in and I gave her an envelope and I immediately left because I didn't want her to engage on it. I just wanted to give it to her. I'd gone back in like 3-4 weeks later to get pizza for the kids. And she told me how her car had broken down and the repair cost was $93. So when you look at, your big why, it's not always you, it's what you're going to do for others in your life. So always keep that close because it's going to keep you moving forward. It's big because you're asking for extraordinary results, and not everybody thinks big. Look at your people in your life right now. Look at family and friends. If they were sitting in this class, would they think we were weird? Right? Like right? I look back at like when 2013 is when I was first introduced to KW and I joined. And I was like, wow, I'm a different human being, and it's because of KW. And it's not because we're, a cult or whatever. We're truly about how do you grow people? How do you make sure that people are living their best lives, right? And what's the legacy you're living behind? So when you think about your big why, it's extremely big. It's extremely important. It should get you out of bed in the morning. If it is not getting you out of bed, your why is probably not big enough. It should turbocharge you. It should give you thoughts that you may not have ever thought about before. It's really the driver. So go back to the beginning. I think this was like session 1 or 2, when we talked about your big why, and has that changed? Should you make any edits to it? You know, now that you think about it, are there causes or topics that you want to support? Is there things that fuel you? If you never got paid, what would you do every day? Because you love it that much, right? And where do you envision yourself in the future? So go back and take a look at that why and really massage it, right? And then post it everywhere so you never forget. Does anybody have a big why that they would want to share?
My big why is I've never had a job that I've loved. Basically my entire life, I've dreaded that alarm clock going off and going to work. I've never had a job that I loved. That's my biggest reason for being here.
You know, and some of the, and don't answer these questions out loud, but some of the questions that come to mind when you say something like that is, what would make me get out of bed and desire to go to work, right? What impact in life would encourage me and keep me going, right? Because real estate is just the funding of the big life, right? It's not the big life. So I would dive deep, and this is for everyone, not just Brian. What is that big life? Because that's what's going to get you out of bed every morning to take action. Because there are going to be days in this industry, and for those that have been in it for a little bit, there are disappointments in real estate, right? So those big life desires will get you through the disappointments. All right. Our next section is really about how, you know, being smart about money. And this is, I was on in a session once, and the person on the stage said, a lot of people live a rich life, and yet if you looked at their tax return, they're very broke, right? It's because they borrow the money, they owe taxes, whatever the story is. So when you look at the money aspect of things, you're really looking at making sure that you're running your money the right way, because it's very easy for us to fall off. Just don't pay your taxes on 3 or 4 deals, and now you owe back to, and now you're always playing catch up, right? So the 6 core competencies of business, it's the lead generation, the capturing, the converting of the appointments, right? It's presenting, it's the showing buyers and then marketing to sellers. It's writing and negotiating offers. It's coordinating the sale to closing. And number 6 is managing the money. You know, one thing to look at is, you don't get to keep all the money. So how many of you have a separate bank account that you've set up for your business, right? Just look at where the money goes. If you have, let's just say, and commissions are negotiable, right? Let's say there's a 6% commission on the table. How much of that goes to the other agent? How much of it goes to your market center? How much of it goes to business expenses? How much does it go to taxes? And then what do you get to take home afterwards, right? It's not always, there's a reason why it's GCI and not net income, right? So when you look at this next screen, you look at this agent. She has a $9,000 commission, right? So the property sold, she gets the commission. The pay that goes to her is what, $57.80, it looks like, right? And then from there, she puts it in her personal bank account, but she doesn't put anything into savings or into taxes. So when you look at this, is that $9,000 income or revenue or profit? Right? So that $9,000, is it income or is it profit,
It's income. It's definitely not profit.
right? Because right off the top, she, 4,000 of it didn't even go to her, right? And then when you look at the second side of the screen, it shows that she got the $9,000, 5,760 went to her. She added 1,700 to the business bank account, and then she put 4,000 into the personal bank account. Then from there, she put money into taxes, and then the balance went to her, right? If you learn nothing else on this whole session, make sure you manage your money properly, because it's really easy to get into debt, especially at the beginning.
So you have 2 bank accounts?
I have 5.
So we need to have a business account separately for all this?
So you can have, you don't have to have an LLC or a company. You could be like Tiffany Hampton, doing business as Tiffany Hampton Realtor. I would have a separate bank account, 100%. 2 reasons. You don't want to commingle your money because it's a lot harder to track your expenses if your money's all in one account. So when I know that I'm having my first closing check, I would absolutely open up a separate bank account. It could be in your name. It could be in you doing business as, I don't care how you do it, but keep that money separate and then move money from there. I have 5 accounts. One is my capital account, which is where I put all my money. And then one is my business payment where I pay all my business bills. Then I have an account for where my tax money goes. And then I have an account for savings and investing. And then I have an account for personal expenses. I keep my money separate, and I try really hard, and I fall down on this because nobody is ever perfect. I try really hard to automatically add the money into the taxes and the savings and investment so that I don't even see it and I don't even touch it, right? So yeah, I would absolutely separate your money. Think about it. If you owned a grocery store, would that grocery store, would all that money be going into your personal account, or would you have your own bank account, right? This is no different than that. This is your business and you should have a business account.
How do you determine how much to put in each one? What's the math?
Read profit first. And the only thing I would say, so you know what your monthly business expenses are, because you figured that out when you did your economic model. Your tax bracket, I would talk to your accountant, or if you do your taxes yourself, I would see what percentage of your income went to taxes. It's anywhere, it could be up to 33%. It all depends on write-offs. Talk to an accountant. I am not an accountant. And then your savings and your investment. In the perfect world, you're putting 25% into that. And it takes time to get up there. So it may start at 1%, 5%, 10%, but it'll get you there.
Can I ask, what is your name?
My name,
Yeah.
Tiffany.
Are you out of Maine?
I am out of Maine, yes.
Do you cover the entire state?
I do. Well, as far as selling real estate,
Yes.
no, our state is 8 hours long. However, I can give you the names of great agents. So if you have a referral, just reach out to me. I'll put my information in the chat after this session.
I have to leave in 10 minutes for my doctor's appointment.
All right, let me do it now.
I really appreciate it.
Depending on where it is, I have an agent for you.
So that old saying, I got a guy for that?
I got a guy for that. I have an agent for that. I have lots of agents for that. All right, there you go. There's my info. All right, so
Thank you.
money is good for the good it does, right? We want this, the whole point of being a real estate agent is to have profit. We do not work this hard just to pay the bills. So make sure you're strategic with your money and you know how much money you need to make in order to be profitable, right? So here's the flow of money. income, expenses, profit is what's left. So when we figured out our economic model, and if you haven't done this exercise, do it now. When you figured out your economic model, you should have figured out, this is how much it costs to live. This is how much I desire to make for my life by design. This is what my business expenses are going to be, and this is what my taxes are going to be. Based on all of that information, I need to make X amount of money, which means I need to do X amount of transactions. And every single day, you pick up the phone, you call people to get to that X amount of transactions, right? So when I was actively practicing, I knew for every 17 conversations I had, there was one potential piece of business. So as long as every single day I made 17 phone calls, I knew that I was bringing in an opportunity for a deal. I also knew that a third of the people that were in my pipeline would work with me, a third of the people would change their mind and not buy or sell, and a third of the people would work with somebody else. So if my goal was to do 24 transactions, I knew that I needed 72 people in my pipeline throughout that whole year. So knowing your numbers is hugely important. And I will also say, listings is where it's at. I'm sure you saw the triangle, right? Listings, leads, leverage. So the listing piece, for every one listing, you have an opportunity for two additional pieces of business, and listings take less time and money because you're not driving around, you're not paying for gas. So driving your business with listings is huge. When you, and this is the other half of the conversation, right? What's your profit goal? What are the expenses? How much income do you need to put into play? Exactly how we described it. Any questions around this?
You said listing was less expensive than buyer side because of gas and stuff, but does that still true after like photography and stuff like that?
Well, look at your time, right? If you were to look at how much time it took to work with the buyer versus how much time it worked with the listing, when you look at the time and all of those other things, listings are less expensive and there's more opportunity to get more business. So for every one listing, there's the opportunity to get two buyers.
Right.
So if your goal is to get 24 transactions, you should be able to do that with 8 listings if you do it right.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So then expenses related to your real estate business, right? You have cost of sale, the commission you pay to the market center, royalty fees, commissions or splits paid to employees or independent contractors. So to your point, Amanda, you asked like the photographer, that's a independent contractor expense, right? The sign installation, that's an independent contractor expense. So all of those items are definitely what you look like. And then there's the referral fees, the operating expenses. And this is where with buyers, the operating expenses get a little bit higher because you have your auto expenses. You have your gas expense, your time, all of that is operating expenses. The other part of the conversation is when you're looking at who you want to work with as a client, time is money. So if you're working with somebody that is a C buyer and you show them 100 properties, when they finally do decide to buy a property, are you in the red or the green, right? So it's always making sure you're working with the right client. And that's the other reason why it's really important to have the pipeline. So cost of sale is really related to direct cost of the transaction. Operating expenses is just to be in the business. Does that make sense?
Not to mention how much of those things we can write off.
100%. Yeah.
My mentor, Dave Orlick, he writes off everything. He keeps track.
Yeah. And the one thing again, talk to your accountant. The one thing to be careful about write-offs is you can write it off to all, like, there were years that I wrote it off to almost pennies on the dollar. However, if you're looking to invest in real estate or buy things, if on your taxes, you're only showing a low income, it affects your ability to buy real estate. So keep in mind, as you're looking at what you're going to write off, make sure you touch base with your accountant and say, these are my financial goals. How much income do I have to show on paper to make those goals happen?
Great tip.
Yeah, because you can write it off to pennies on the dollar, and I have in my years. So gain clarity on your big why and plan for the future. Set your personal and business budget. If you're not looking at your finances 8 hours a month, you're probably not looking at it enough. Open additional bank accounts. We talked about that, right? Download the MRE chart of accounts. I will put that in the Ignite group so that you don't have to search for it. Those MREA chart of accounts, that's where you actually add, for example, photography, right? Photography falls under this account bracket. So all of that's created for you. Purchase, download tax accounting software. As a brand new agent, an Excel spreadsheet will work for you. And once you start doing business, there's RE Profit, there's QuickBooks, there's another one that I can't think of, but there's plenty of different ones to use. Hire an accountant and a CPA, attorney and tax advisor. Your accountant should be somebody who knows the laws and can make sure that you are keeping as much money as you can. They're just not filing your taxes, right? Set dates to calculate and pay your estimated taxes. It's usually the 15th of every quarter, first month of every quarter. Set dates, prepare your future, right? What are you doing for insurance? What are you doing for savings? And what are you doing for investments? You don't want to work this business for 25 years and then have nothing to show for it. The whole point of selling real estate is to be able to invest in other opportunities. Think and act the wage you want before you earn it, right? My personal opinion when I was selling real estate was my hourly rate was $450 an hour. So how did I build my business so that I was getting paid $450 an hour? Right? So whatever your earning is, whatever you desire to make, if you want to be $1 million net agent, who do you have to act like and who do you have to become to make that happen? Based on everything we shared, more than likely, you are absolutely going to have to go back into that economic update that we did in, I think it was session 1. And you're going to have to redo your numbers because your net income after all of these conversations very, very much may have increased, right? What vacations do you desire to go on? What good do you want to do for the world? Did you include that in your numbers? And you can make any amount of money and you could sell any amount of real estate that you desire to make. You just have to take action. In command, you have opportunities. This is how you get paid. I highly recommend that. A lot of market centers have a how to get paid, understanding opportunities, closing classes. Your MCA office usually runs them. Make sure you take those classes. If you need training on it, you can go to answers.kw.com and then submit a commission request is one of the topics. You can ask your MCTT. They will walk you through how to do all of this. All right. What are you guys hearing? Anybody?
The importance of having a business account and making sure you're putting money where it should be so that you have your money in the right places.
Yeah. And I would, the one thing I did not mention, how quickly can you get 4 months of business bills set aside and 4 months of personal bills set aside? So you always have an emergency fund because this business is seasonal. And for some, especially getting started, there may be times where you go 3 months without having a paycheck. And do you have that money set aside, right? And if you do it right, that won't happen. You just don't want to have the stress of where am I going to get the money to pay the bills next month? And it happens to a lot of people. All right. So commit to the success system. It's the 10 conversations. So a lot of you have heard from your coaches, you have to have 20 conversations a day, right?
I did.
So 20 conversations a day. On this daily success system, it says 10 conversations, right? This is 10 conversations with your sphere of influence of your database and your contacts. That next section of 10 contacts added, that's the lead generation. So you're going to talk to 10 people in your sphere or your have met database, and then you're going to find ways to add 10 other people. Right? And that could be through open houses, could be through working, door knocking, expireds, circle prospecting, the demographic farm, the geographic farm. So how are you going to be adding those other 10 contacts? And that's your 20 conversations a day. You're gonna write 10 handwritten notes, the 10-5-1, 10 likes, 5 comments, 1 direct message. For those that have been doing this, what have you learned and what's gotten easier as you've done it day after day?
All the
Talking
different people lead generate.
All the different people that what?
All the different ways to lead generate, because before this, I was just like, I just heard lead generate, lead generate, lead generate. And no, I didn't really exactly know how to start or where to even go. So this class really helped.
Awesome. What else? How many are doing the daily success system? This is what's going to make or break your business. If you get this disciplined, nobody will stand in your way. If you don't get this discipline, your business will be like riding a roller coaster. And is it uncomfortable? Absolutely. But the more you do uncomfortable, the easier it gets. Any other thoughts around this? I can't stress to you enough. Like, I knew, and I know, like 3,000 dials, 850 conversations, 27 listings, 30 transactions, right? I knew that by having the conversations and making the attempts, it got me to 30 transactions. How many of you 30 transactions would change your life? Right? So what do you have to eliminate from mindset to continue to take this action? And then the next part of it is who's holding you accountable to it? Because if I was your accountability coach or your accountability partner, you'd be getting a text from me every morning and every afternoon that said, hey, daily success system, text me when you're done. And then if I don't hear from you by 5 o'clock, you're going to get a text. I guess those life goals weren't that important, right? I have permission to do that with the people that I have accountability. And yet your big why is why you are doing that daily success. And it will get easier. Those limiting beliefs will go away, I promise. Talk to me about this, because this is a bottleneck, right? I saw this, I saw nothing. Talk to me about where the mindset bottleneck and limiting beliefs are preventing you from doing this.
I am so scared to door knock.
So don't door knock.
I want to though.
Okay, well,
It's a
who's gonna win?
conflict, right?
Yeah, what's gonna
Huh?
win? What's gonna win? Well, here's my thing. So here's my advice for that. Get a partner. You two door knock, and if you get a piece of business, share it 50-50. It's a lot
That's a good
easier to
idea.
do it with a partner.
Yeah, because like I want to be comfortable doing so. And like if I'm uncomfortable, I freeze up and then I talk too much.
Yep.
And it spirals downhill from there.
Yep. All right,
Samantha, I would definitely recommend some door knocking scripts. I have one that I can text you that I got from the growth call like yesterday, but definitely like the scripts have been helping me a lot because I feel the same thing where you're like you freeze up and then you keep talking, but if you know what to say, then you're kind of more able to shut up.
Right. And like, I mean, I've been told, you say very minimal
Mhm.
and then you leave it at that, like, hey, if you want anything, let me know. And then you walk away. And if they go after you, then they're interested. But if they don't, they're not interested. And the same token, I'm like, well, you didn't really leave an impression if you just say 5 words and then walk away,
yeah. Well,
No,
and
that'd be awesome. I'll message you in the chat.
yeah, and I'm gonna derail. I'm gonna look for my playbook. So there's a playbook that I have. And I'm gonna take the time to put it in there because I think it's worth it. It has a whole process around, here it is. It's launch your business, 90 days to cap is essentially what it's called. And there is a script for door knocking, but door knocking is, don't overthink it, right? So one opportunity around door knocking script is to say something along the lines of, do a neighborhood, do some research. When's the last time a house in that area sold, right? And say, hey, my name is Tiffany. The reason I'm standing at your door is because your friend down the street put their house under contract and there were multiple offers, or it went under contract in 5 days, or whatever you know about it, right? It does not have to be a KW listing, does not have to be your listing. You just can't share information. So you could say your neighbor down the street put their house under contract, sold, just listed. And you say for every one house that comes on the market, 2 other people in the neighborhood are usually thinking about selling. The reason for me reaching out to you is, are you one of those 2 people thinking of selling? Or do you know someone in the neighborhood? And I would just point to the houses that are thinking of selling. Right? The other thing is, many people wish that they could pick their neighbors. Do you have friends, family, coworkers, people that you network with that are thinking of buying that I can introduce the house to? You could say, there's several buyers looking in this area. I'm being proactive and just checking with neighbors. Do you know anybody that's thinking of selling? And you could say, something along the lines of, well, and if they say, no, I don't know anybody, how about you? If you were to move, where would you move to? How soon would you want to be there? Right? So the more you do it, the easier it gets. Your Ignite book has scripts as well around circle prospecting, but what's put in the chat is a great script. What's in that 90-day playbook is a great script. If you're hosting an open house, door knock the open house and say, hey, I'm doing a VIP. We'll be holding the house open 15 minutes earlier for the neighbors so that they could take a look. Would you be interested in attending? It's from 11:45 to noon on Sunday. And the cool thing about doing that is when real buyers show up, the house is so busy with neighbors that they think that there's a lot of interest on the property.
That's a wicked good idea.
Yeah. Hopefully that helped. Yeah. And just who does it well, right? Yeah, I don't know if you saw, we're doing the success agent panel tomorrow from 1 to 2. Like that success agent panel, my intention is to do exactly what this is, right? What are your favorite ways to lead generate? What are the best scripts? So be on the lookout for that, because our goal is to give you all the tools. So types of accountability, you got your accountability partner, you got your productivity coach, your mentor. Once you become a certain level, you have your MAPS coach, right? What are the tools? It's the 411, it's the time blocking, and the one thing. I will honestly tell you, the time blocking was where most people fall down. 90% of the world falls down on that. What did you hear about the success system? And what actions are you going to take? Because today's the last day. So now it's up to you.
I just want to kind of go, not off topic, but you said there's an Ignite book. This is my only third class.
Yep. I will, as we're talking, I will track it down and put it in the chat.
Thank you.
While I'm doing that, talk to me about the success system. What are you guys going to do?
I have it printed out right next to my desk.
Yeah.
And like I go down the checklist.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I would actually get a binder, have how many days a year are you going to work, right? And then print out enough of them for every day and go from there. I'm just pulling up so I can put it in the chat. What else?
For me, it's the time blocking. I have to block the time. And like what I'm going to do after today is really, as best as I can, look at the next 30 to 90 days. This 90-day playbook, the CAP is, I'm really looking to diving deep into this, but for me, it's time.
Yeah.
Juggling a lot, and but I gotta do the thing. I gotta make time for the thing somehow. Fight, scrap for the time to make my dreams a reality. So
Yep.
So yeah.
Well, and here's the other piece. For those that have faithfully showed up for this class every single week, you just got back from 9 a.m. till 10:30. So don't book that. Don't put anything else in that time. Right? All right. Do you guys still see my screen? Because I've been playing around with stuff and I want to make you still see the presentation screen.
Yes.
Still
Okay.
see ahas.
Cool. So I put the Ignite student guide. And yes, Kat, absolutely. Join the 7:30 shift. You guys are just asking great questions.
I got it. Thank you.
I'm going to share with you.
What's the shift? What's that?
Hold
Is
on.
there
I'm going to put in the chat. So essentially, James Shaw, when COVID first hit, James Shaw started with, let me go here. He started a shift club every morning at like 7:30 in the morning. He would get on and he would have a conversation around the book Shift. What ended up happening is it turned into something so much bigger than just that one call. It turned into accountability. It turned into other things. So, what he does every morning is he just focuses on one page of the shift book and talks the story around it. Sorry, I'm just trying to get what's come from that. And what I want to share even more is there are a bunch of additional calls that have come into play. There's Early Birds Talking Real Estate on Clubhouse, which is scripting and role play. From 8 to 8:20 is the pivot shift call, which is around mindset. From 8:25 to 9, it's scripting, Script Jedi. And then there's a Zoom power hour where everybody hops on Zoom and they just lead generate. And then from 4:30 to 5:30, if you didn't hit their goals, they do end of day text and social media. I'm going to share it with you in the chat. Just make a copy of it. Again, you win when you stay consistent. You also win when you have other people supporting you and making it happen. So there's an opportunity for you to get, in addition to everything else you get, this is a great system just to stay in lead generation and understanding the script. What I love about the 6:30 a.m. Clubhouse Early Birds Talking Real Estate, they literally script about, well, a lead calls in and says this. You're calling your database and you're saying this. The objection you get is this. So for 30 minutes, you're working, and you can hop on and you could script with them, or you could just listen. All of these things, it's worth taking a listen to and seeing where you want to continue growing your business and learning. So plan for learning, kind of like what we just talked about. You got the student guide, you got all of the national KWRI calls that I put in the chat. You have what your market center delivers, you have what the region delivers. Here's my big thing. You can become a professional educatee, and never do a piece of business, right? So just keep it balanced. Make sure whatever you're learning about. So for example, Samantha, when you talked about door knocking neighborhoods, right? That might be something that you spend time learning about, so you're more confident and comfortable in it, right? However, you're not going to call expired or for sale by owners because it's not in your agenda. So don't go to those classes. Just go to the classes that are going to help grow and build your business. I think that's the biggest piece. We get in trouble when we just attend every class. Number one, make sure whatever classes you're attending, they're action-based. Make sure they're relevant to how you want to build your business. Learning more about your market, right? Like if you are new to the MLS and you don't know how to run reports and stuff like that, take an MLS class. Attend events, read great books, listen to great podcasts. The 6 personal perspectives, go to Bold, Quantum Leap. You're not going to do all these in 1 month, but as you grow your business, you're going to continue to do them. What questions do you have around the learning? My biggest piece of advice is just don't live in the classroom.
My broker always says, stop getting ready to get ready.
Right? 100%. We do a lot of getting ready. Any other? Who other than Ignite, because I feel like until you hit 15 transactions, I would do Ignite at least once a year. Other than Ignite, what classes have you gone to and you're like, this was a waste of my time? Don't answer that, rhetorical. Just remember that when you sit down and you plan your schedule. If it's not action-based, if it's not working on mindset, if it's not growing your goals, do not attend. And it's okay. All right. Design your future plan, right? The mission is to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning, lives worth living, experiences worth giving, and legacies worth leaving. This is exactly like when Brian was on the call earlier. That experiences worth giving, legacies worth leaving, and lives worth living. That's what this business is for. You're going to build a career. You're going to build a business to support these 3 things. And that's where making sure that you have an accountability person and a coach throughout your entire career is going to make it happen for you. You need to get real about your situation. Where are you today? Right? What needs to change? Where do I need clarity? Where should I focus my energy? And not personal, and it's not just you guys, it's everybody that's gone through Ignite. Y'all should be focused on that success system. At any cost, every single day I've hit that. And I've worked through my limiting beliefs to get there. Design your future, right? We know, and again, if you have the guide, whether it's online or you have it printed out. Make sure you have a great value proposition. Make sure your big why is your big why. Make sure you have your profit goal. Make sure you know how many transactions you need to do. Make sure your database is smart. The growth pre, 201 healthy contacts with an 80% health score. Smart money, 5 bank accounts is honestly the perfect way, and yet a minimum of 2, one for your business, one for your personal. Who are your people that are holding you accountable? And what are you learning every day? All right. That is Ignite. Tell me what you're hearing. What did you hear? What are you hearing? What are you going to do? Today's the first day of the rest of your real estate career. What are you taking action on?
Consistently keeping up with lead gen, all of the daily success systems, all of the things that have really resonated throughout this whole thing.
Absolutely. I love that. What else?
I'm gonna time block.
Absolutely.
Set aside a time to do the systems for success.
100%.
Get done with.
100%. Yep. What else?
I've been doing a lot of networking, and I met with a lender and a title company, and we have a meeting tomorrow we're going to host a free seminar for people that want to fix their credit, buy a house, stuff like that. So that is my first big leap, I guess.
Absolutely. What else?
For me, I'm starting back on day 1. I think I came in day 13 or 14 or something like that. So tomorrow I'm starting day 1 of Ignite on YouTube and just go on my,
I'm going to put the link to the YouTube for everybody. Yeah. If you feel like you are falling backwards, hop back in and listen to this. Just grabbing the Ignite. What else? What else?
Can I make a suggestion or a request sort of? Can everybody put their information in the chat and then we can all connect with each other after this is done for referrals and things that we might need?
Yes. And especially for those that came in after the beginning, I think session 3, we also did that and we put it in Ignite. So whoever puts their information here, I'll add it to that list on the Ignite Facebook page. Let me pull that up so you have that as well. Facebook. All right. How'd we do? Was this worth it?
Yes.
Absolutely.
All right. Well, hopefully I will see you on other classes. My information is in the chat. I'm going to keep this on for a little bit so everybody can put their information in. And we have a few minutes. So if you guys have questions, you want to go over something specific, let's do it.
Hey, so this is Amanda Fitzgerald.
Hi.
How are you? I covered some open houses recently, and you know how people come in and you talk to them, and you just a surface conversation, and then they fill out that form that says, oh, hey, and almost everybody puts, yep, I'm working with the real estate agent, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if they put yes, I mean, do you put them in your contacts? Do you just not, because then that's, stepping on other people's toes? Do you just put them in there and don't act on it and then check in with them later? What do you do with that information?
So I'm going to back you up a little bit. For the first thing I would do on the open house check-in, I wouldn't are you working with a realtor, yes or no? I would have them say, who is your realtor, and have them put the realtor's name. Because they're less likely to lie if they actually have to put somebody's name. Because a lot of people put yes just because they don't want to be contacted by you. So that would be step one. And then I do 100% honor relationships. So if they put the name of that agent, instead of calling the buyer, I would call the agent and ask the agent the questions that I would ask the buyer. So your buyer, whomever, stopped by the open house, just checking in what they think about it. Do they have interest? I would not add people that are working with agents into my database, because technically code of ethics, you cannot contact them.
Right. So if they put just yes, do you just take that as a sign as they don't want,
Yeah.
like even if you have who is your agent and they just kind of put just put agent, or they put in working with agent or something like that. Do you just take that as a hint and
No,
move
I would
along?
actually, if they don't put the agent's name, I would call them. And I would say, you mentioned that you're working with an agent. You didn't put the agent's name. The reason for me calling is my seller loves to get feedback. You came to you. And then I would get a feel for that. And then I would ask, who's your agent, and get that information. If they don't disclose who the agent is, more than likely they do not have an agent. The other thing, when just a real estate conversation, when I do open houses, my first question is, thanks so much for stopping by. Are you viewing this house as a buyer or seller, or someone in the neighborhood just gaining knowledge of what's going on in the market? Because the conversation I'm going to have with a buyer is going to be different than the conversation I'm going to have with a seller or with a neighbor, right? So knowing that information up front is important as well. What else? Anything else you guys want to know about? If not, I'm going to let you go, and you got 20 minutes in addition to the other hour to do your success. So instead of going and getting busy, have your 10 conversations and add your 10 people and do your 10-5-1 and your 10 handwritten note cards. All right, everybody, have an awesome day. Thank you for coming. If I can help you at any point, just reach out to me, and good luck.
Thank you for everything.
Thank you. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Bye, everyone. Thank
Tiffany. Have a
you.
good one.
Thank you.
Thank you.